I've been cooking something filthy for Vex, and this one is personal. This is my current iteration of what I've tier crafted months ago before the game got released. No gimmicks, no broken interactions, no weird exploit stacking. Just pure formula-based damage that is literally nerf-proof, unless they change the whole things up. Now the best part is, it melts everything in UVHM5 and above, and it's ready to melt Bloomreaper too. What's good, everyone? It's Verti here, and between all the billion-dollar damage builds that are just broken, it's hard to even tell what's real and what's bugged and what's gimmicky. The good thing is, you don't need billions for anything in this game. So let's take a look at what I call the 7-Eleven Vex, because it's got everything and it's always open. Now, if you've been around the channel, you know that I'm not into those 7 business day setups before you shoot a bullet. I like to get busy and stay busy. I wanted this build to work that way, and it does. But if you want to do absolute min-maxing for the ultimate number, stick around because I cover the full optimal rotation too, especially if Bloomreaper ends up being a bit scarier than we think, it might become useful. Anyway, I just finished my cappuccino and I'm ready to explain everything, so click that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived in game as always, and we're going to talk about the talents, the gearing, and the specialization. And look, the build is simple. It is a kinetic bleed build. So what we're going to do is we're not taking any kind of action skill reduction and kill skills and all that. We're going down the foundational route, which is Leeching Attunement, Bloodletter, Material Components, Ars Arcana, Essence Leech, and Bloody Spire. This will going to give us the foundation to our damage. Bloodletter is going to give us the nasty, nasty dot that makes our entire damage work. And Bloody Spire is going to give us the nasty, nasty damage bonus the more lifesteal we have. Everything around that is boosting that and boosting our lifesteal. Now, I'm not going to take Grave Vitality because I simply don't need it. Anybody that says that they need the extra health regen and the health capacity are lying. They're silly. So, you should just take Ars Arcana because that's more damage. What you do need to do though is, is Fiendish Invigoration. If there's anything you take away from this video, let it be this. Fire rate is king. It's calculated in a different bucket, not adding to the same soup as the gun damage, so the fire rate is multiplicative. It is worth its weight in gold. And what's also very nice, and we have 5 more points left, is the ring full. Now, I understand what your concern might be with this one, because 50 stacks seems threatening. That how the fuck am I going to stack up 50 stacks? It's going to take me 7 business days until I can do that. Luckily, not the case. Even if you use a shotgun, and I'll give you a practical example. I run a Torque Bod with this one. Out of that, 2 shots, every single pellet counts, and then I explode the stickies and I'm on 50 stacks. 4 seconds maximum. So it's very easy to stack the actual 50 stacks up. You don't need to feel like that you're stuck in this little box where some content creator says that, well, this build only works with Bonnie and Clyde. That's not the case. Any kind of kinetic gun that is strong works with this build because it's not the gun that does the most amount of damage. But we do have a few points left. So let's look onto Deadringer. Oh, too much. Let's look onto Deadringer. Cold Iron is granted. And then we're going to take Cursed Blade and Extra Cursed. And look, I'll say this here. I don't use this ever. I have it here because I understand how strong it is and why it's going to be very useful once the game gets more difficult. Right now, I simply do not want to run up to every single mob and melee them. It takes too much time, too much effort. I'm a lazy motherfucker. I just want to left click and delete things. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So let's talk about the Augments and the Capstone. Now the Augment is going to be Witchy Trigger Finger. That is the one that you use because that is the one that gives you raw damage. And I've seen a lot of edgy builds without a Capstone. And it is completely ridiculous. It makes no sense. And let me tell you why. If you wanna make yourself stuck in a position where your entire loop is, you throw your orb, and then you refill that one single gun that has 170 magazine, and then you refill the gun, and then you shoot, and then you throw your orb, and then you refill the gun. Fine. But if you're using any gun that's like a shotgun, an SMG, something that gets rid of its magazine in a couple seconds, this is nonsense. The only useful benefit for Witchy Trigger Finger is the actual gun damage, not the refilling of the ammo. That one is circumstantial at best, And it's not worth the trade of not being able to use any gun that you want. So not taking Heart Piercer is freaking silly. I was gonna say a bad word, but let's say it's silly. The 60% health that you're gonna sacrifice to chuck away 3 of your buffs make no difference. You're gonna have Overshield, you're gonna have Siphon, you're gonna have an insane amount of lifesteal. I have never once died because I damaged myself too much. One shot, yeah, can happen, fine, fair enough, but not from you damaging yourself and then not being able to heal yourself up. That's never gonna happen. So don't worry about some content creator saying that, well, it actually only works with one gun and you're not supposed to take a capstone. That's bullshit, yeah? Don't worry about it. Use whatever you want, easy enough. Speaking of which, let's go over to the inventory and then let's see the gear. And I'm gonna hammer this point home even more right now. Any gun works with this. What I'll say, tie the gun to your best enhancement because that's also multiplicative. So if you have something that gives double damage, then a bod is gonna be strong. If you don't, you can use Caution, Bonnie and Clyde, Vomit, whatever you want as long as it's kinetic because that will trigger the buff and that is the most where your damage comes from, not the weapon itself. Now for the REPKIT, again, I'll say this with a caveat, Warpaint is best because fire rate is king and cooldown, or rather move speed is really good. Taking damage also reduces the cooldown of the Warpaint, so it does end up being used fairly often, but anything goes. I have never used Warpaint because I really needed it. I only use it for demonstration purposes to really rip someone apart. It's just not needed right now, guys. Look, when we're in UVHM 75 and the content is difficult, yeah, I can see that it's going to be useful, but right now you can just pull up, press left click, delete, see you next time. As simple as that. But Warpaint is very strong. What you do need to do though, and there is no word around it, is the Enrich. You need the lifesteal and you need the ability to be able to lifesteal to your shield because that is your survivability. Simple as that. You might want to find one that doesn't give 60 melee damage. I'm working on it. It's the best I can do. And for the shield, What's for Dinner is strong because it litters the entire ground with overshield boosters. It's crazy how many you're gonna get dropped. But it is just an S tier shield, right? It's a good 25% shock damage, but I'll say the same thing again. This build is so strong, you don't need that 25% specifically. If you want to use some other shield because you want to have fun with it, you can, by all means. The build is not going to fall apart because you don't use What's for Dinner, but What's for Dinner is very good synergistically because of the massive amount of overshield that you get, and it feeds into your survivability. Now for the firmware, and we're going to come to the green in a second. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what legendaries do what, I just happen to have made the most beautiful guide, Dirty Little Secrets series. It's a 4-part video where I go through every single item where the devs don't explain what the fuck do they do. And I cover them. So check them out. It's up there, somewhere around there. You know what I mean. Anyway, so for the firmware, Deadeye is really strong. Crit hits giving you crit damage. That is just chef's kiss. Outside of that, I like high caliber. I don't think this is mandatory, but I enjoy the projectile speed a lot, so I'm going to use that. And then I took a second point in it because gun damage is easy. I don't need any survivability, I don't need any utility, but if you happen to need some sort of quality of life, feel free to take it instead of high caliber. Now the grenade. I'm using Slippy for a very specific reason. You know how I mentioned that I don't like running up things and then melee them? And that is the case, which is why I'm using Slippy. It counts as melee damage, but it's only good for specialization. So let's head on over to that. So look, in specialization, there is 3 things that are mandatory in my mind. It is CQC, Riddle You This, and the best defense. Now, the former 2, so best defense and Riddle You This, is super easy. You just get the stacks up. Riddle You This is exactly as easy of the 50 stacks as the talent. You'll instantly have it. Don't worry about it. And CQC, you can trigger it with a Slippy, but Slippy doesn't work on Cursed. I think it's either bugged or it's very specific that you have to actually suck someone in the mouth, but CQC gets triggered by Slippy, so it's very, very good to just chuck a nade, get the fire rate, and melt people with it. The 4th one is optional in my mind. Now with caffeine is really strong because if you use your REPKIT, then you're going to be able to get into your ultimate, and if nothing else, even if you don't throw your balls, you're going to get double the lifesteal, which is going to be just really good from sustain and a lot of damage, right? Because we have the bonus on the talent. And look, this is it. There's no magic behind it. It is a strong damage formula that gives you the possibility to do a crap ton of damage. So try it out. Let me know in the comments how you like this. Let me know in the comments if you're like me and you're just lazy and you don't want to run up to every single mob and just sock them in the mouth. You just want to press left click and just relax and keep farming. Either way, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.